Welcome to Speak Out, Stand Out by Green Communications, where we're learning how to help our kids become better communicators. We believe our voices are the strongest asset we have, and our mission is to empower the next generation to use their voices to make a difference in the world around them. Whether you are a parent, an educator, or are just invested in today's youth, we hope this podcast will help you build confidence in our future, one voice at a time. Welcome back to Speak Out, Stand Out. I'm Elizabeth Green, founder of Green Communications, and today's guest is Michelle Morningstar. Michelle has a background in education and teaches lots of different things from dragons to anger management and has tons of great experience working with kids of all ages through different issues and different topics. But today's focus, we're talking about anger management and how to communicate with our kids about it and how to help them feel confident in their own abilities to regulate their emotions. So, Michelle, thank you for being here today. And if you would just give us a real quick background on how you came about becoming an expert in guiding kids on anger management.
Well, Elizabeth, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me. Pretty much how I came about it was because I was an angry person. As being, everyone has anger. Everybody has frustration. Everybody has annoyance. Everybody has something that they want to deal with. And the best way sometimes to get through it is to teach others how to do it. So I started being interested in how the brain works and how emotions work. And I've always been drawn to the psychological field, human services. My very first job was in the psychiatric ward of York, Pennsylvania. I know we talked about you being in York South. So, there's that. Always have been drawn to how the mind can be such a big part of who we are and how it kind of really makes or breaks us when it comes to that kind of thing. The biggest piece to remember when we're dealing with our kids and when we're dealing with ourselves is that we can't get mad first. Or if we do, we have to find a way to resolve it ourselves before we go after them. So for instance, if you've got a child who's completely dysregulated, they're out of control, they're throwing a massive tantrum, it would be fun if we could join in, right? Being moms, it would be so much fun if we could kick and scream and throw a fit and do all of that, but we can't because they need us to be the calm. They need us to be able to bounce off their feelings. They're the ones that are trying to learn how to navigate. We're the ones that are supposed to have already known that. And one of the big pieces of that is that everyone gets angry. Everyone gets frustrated. Everyone gets annoyed. It's what you do with it that matters. So if you get mad, great, fabulous. That's fine. Your son or daughter gets mad. That's fine. That's fabulous. What are you going to do with it? And the first thing that I offer to my students is I give them the process of mindfulness. I'm sure you've heard of mindful thinking before many times. We talked a little bit about that. Is that to be able to take it apart and to be able to practice that, it is hard. So the easiest thing to remember is to kind of do it every day. Make it a practice that you actually engage in intentionally rather than just in the moment. If you mess up in the moment, oh well, you always have the chance to go back and try it again. That's the cool part. And I love I'll actually pull my book up. I love this book. I'm going to unscreen my background here.
And tell us the title too for anybody that's listening and not watching.
Mindfulness for Teen Anger. This is a fabulous book. They should make one for adults, and I think they do. But one of the coolest things about this is how to work through and overcome anger and aggression using the MBSR and DBT skills. DBT stands for dialectical behavioral therapy, or strategies that take you as the victim out of the situation. In other words, you have the choice of how you're going to handle yourself, your problems, your situation, things that are coming about that are making you upset, that are making you frustrated, they're making you angry. You have a choice of what you're going to do with those things. And according to this particular situation, according to this book, which I've read cover to cover, you can see my dog-eared pages and all that stuff. I use this in the classes that I teach, and I use it with the classes that I teach in person as well. I teach on out school, and I also teach in a public school. And I take this book with me to my out school classes, but I pretty much kind of taken it and put it in my own brain to use in my classroom. Yeah. And what it actually has, it breaks it down into choices, is when we think about getting mad about something, we can't control someone else's behavior no matter how much we want to. No matter how much we think that we have to be in control, we can't. And no matter how much we want them to stop acting the way that they're acting or doing the thing that they're doing, all behavior is communication. There's an unmet need that's not being met. There's something that they're missing. There's something that they're not able to do. There's something that's frustrating them. There's something that's causing them to be out of control, and they don't even know it. So what our job as the adult, our job as the person who's kind of helping them to regulate is we got to be regulated first. And the first thing that I remember and tell my students and tell all the people that I've worked with is you got 5 choices. The first choice you have is you can fix the problem. If you have the ability to do that, do it. Even if it's just temporary, because you need to be able to get out of the situation that's going to escalate, that's going to become worse, that's going to become that you are out of control. If you realize you're getting out of control, take the time to fix the situation. The second thing you can do.
Can I just pause you real quick there, just before we go to number 2? So you're saying if we realize that we're getting out of control, fix the situation. How do we do that? Because we can't just be like, oh, I'm not angry anymore. I know that I'm getting angry and I'm not angry. It'd be great if it worked like that. So how do we fix that situation?
How do we do it? I take back to Dr. Dan Cycle, who I absolutely love. If you have a chance to watch any of his stuff, take the chance. And he talks a lot about emotional regulation, talks about how we feel like we're dysregulated, but we're not actually. When we feel dysregulated, we're actually just feeling like we're out of control, that we don't have the ability to come back in control. And the way to deal with the situation is to recognize what my locus of control really is. What do I have control in this situation? I can name my feelings. That's the biggest piece. Sometimes all they want is to be felt. Sometimes all they want is to be named. I'm feeling really frustrated right now. Wait a minute. I'm feeling frustrated right now? Why am I feeling frustrated? Well, that takes my anger brain, turns it off, turns on my thinking brain, which is what we want in a situation where we're stressed or upset or frustrated or annoyed. That amygdala, it's job to keep us alive. That is its only goal. And it sends those signals, those hormones. And for little kiddos and bigger teenagers, they don't regulate that stuff because it's pumping through their body faster than they can control. It's our job to help them to figure out how to do that. And how we do it is we say, what are you feeling? It stops them in their tracks. Tell me, how do you feel? Why do you feel that way? It clicks on the thinking brain and they're able to back off the situation. Maybe the fix in that moment is to take a break. Maybe the fix in that moment is to get a drink, get a snack, breathe. Maybe the fix in that moment is to write something down, draw a picture, whatever. Maybe the fix in that moment is literally to let off some steam by running around or even screaming. Those are normal, natural behaviors. Can't do it in the classroom. So let's take that down a notch. Okay, I understand you want to scream right now, but we can't do that right now. What can I do to help you? What do you need right in this moment that I can help you with? Would you like to take a walk? Would you like to talk about it? I can see you're really upset right now. You're not ready to talk. That's okay. Maybe you just need a little space. As soon as you name that feeling, it backs it off.
Okay. That sounds so simple. It sounds like a simple thing if we think to do it,
It's not. That's the key. It's a mindful necessity of practice. You can't do it unless you practice it. And you can't do it unless you're in the moment. That's the problem. So it's an intentional practice. I'm not going to get angry at my child. That you have to go into that situation. They are not in control right now. That's the anger dragon. They're not in control right now. I have to be the one to take the reins and give them the skill that they need. Even if the skill that they need right now is just to be calm.
Gotcha.
I have to give them my calm. Whether I want to or not, it doesn't matter. And a lot of parents that are listening are probably saying, well, how do I give my calm when I'm out of control? Take your own break. Stop. Stop. The situation is not going to get better unless you stop. Because the minute you put the brakes on, you stop, kicks on your thinking brain, kicks on your cortex, which is what we need.
Gotcha.
Turns off your limbic system, which is what we need. So now you can teach them the skill they need to calm down. I open up
that
every
makes
class.
sense. That makes great
I open
sense.
up every class with that discussion about how the brain works. You know, it's normal for you to get upset. It's normal for you to get angry. It's normal for you to get frustrated. It's normal for you to feel those things. Those feelings are okay. Feel them. What are you going to do about it? That's the second step. That's the second step. Okay, you're mad. You told me you're mad. I feel upset right now. Okay? About what? Well, she did this or he did that, or he's bugging me, or maybe I'm hungry, or maybe I'm thirsty, maybe I'm tired. Maybe I just need connection. Maybe I want attention. You know, that's how kiddos think, right?
Right.
That's how humans think. So therefore,
Right.
we do. We are biologically programmed to satisfy our needs at the most basic level. Kids are humans, right? They're going to make mistakes. The second part is understanding that we're all in this together. We're all human. That's the power we have with our kids. That's the power we have with our students. Is I understand is so powerful to disarm someone. So you're feeling angry, you're upset, you're frustrated, you're annoyed, you label the feeling. Now let's deal with it. You know, I felt angry too. What can you do to help yourself? I'll tell you what I do. This is what I do. I talk it out. I take a walk. I pound on Play-Doh. I play on my phone. I listen to music. These are things I do. What works for you? How do you deal with when you get frustrated? How do you deal when you get angry? If it's going in your room, shutting the door and playing music as loud as you can, go for it.
Yeah.
That's how you fix it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. That totally makes sense.
So your first step is fix it. You can fix it, fix it. Sometimes it's literally just giving yourself the chance to feel it. The second step is you can let it go. What? Yes. You have the power to let it go. You don't have to get mad about that situation. He may have done something that bugs you. She may have done something that annoys you. You don't have to respond.
That's so much easier said than done, though, right?
Not easy to do. That's why it's intentional. You have to talk to yourself and talk yourself through. What are the consequences if I punch him in the nose? What's going to happen if I do this? What's going to happen if I do this? What's going to happen if this happens? If I do this, I'm going to get in trouble. Mom or dad's going to get mad at me. My grown-up is probably going to punish me. I'm going to have a rough day. I don't want to do those things. I may want to. I can feel it, but I don't got to do it. That's what I tell the kids. Just because you feel it doesn't mean you got to act on it. That's the choice. That's number 2.
That makes sense.
That's a choice. Let it go. Just feel it, let it go. Number 3, this one's even harder. Make it worse.
What?
Yup. You've got the power to do it. You could make any situation worse. Right?
Yeah.
You could, if there's an escalation between siblings and the situation is that they're not talking to each other and the screaming escalates until the point that they're ready to go to blows, it can get worse. But what's the consequence if it does? If I fire off a nasty letter to my boss because I'm mad about something that they did, okay, but I've just made that situation worse. Yeah. Right? So that's a choice. Talked about choices. That's what DBT does. It tells you about the choices.
So these are choices. DBT. These are ways we can handle the situation, not necessarily ways we should handle the situation.
Correct.
These are our options that we need to consider.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
Got the options. There's only 5 of them. Trust me. Number 3 is number 3 is one of the hardest because we can make it worse. You can choose to stay miserable. You can do that. I'm angry and I'm going to throw a temper tantrum for the entire world and the whole world stinks and nothing I can do about it. We can be like Alexander in The Terrible, Terrible, No Good, Very Bad Day, right?
Yeah.
Favorite books. Love that book. With that being said, okay, you want to be upset? Okay, I value your feelings. I empathize with you and I understand where you're coming from. That's fine. But you still have a choice of what you're going to do with those feelings. You still have a choice not to hit your brother. You have a choice not to throw a temper tantrum. You have a choice not to slam the door. You have a choice not to throw your toys. You have a choice to not do anything about that. You can feel your feelings. The cool part of 3 and 4 is that once you get them out there, they're a lot easier to deal with. And chances are when you go back to try to deal with them later, they're not there anymore. Because what DBT actually does is it takes away the victimization, and it also gives you a distraction, which is what you want to stop you from throwing a temper tantrum, stop you from getting angry. In the moment, we don't need that. We just need the logical brain to kick back on. Okay?
Right.
Number 5, you're going to love.
Hold on. Well, what was number 4? So
Number
fix
4
it, let it go, make it worse.
Let it go. I'm sorry. Fix it, let it go, make it worse, stay miserable. Number 5 is my favorite.
Gotcha.
Change your attitude. In other words, okay, I'm angry, but what do I have control over? Nothing but my feelings. I don't have any control over what my brother or sister, my sibling does. I got to recognize that. I can feel how I want to feel. I don't have to affect their behavior. I have no control over their behavior, no matter how much I want it. Moms and dads, the same is true. No matter how much we want to control our kids, the more they fight us. We can't do it. That's why you give them the locus of control. And you say, okay, you have these 5 choices. The cool part of changing your attitude is find something about the situation that you can actually deal with. I can't control the weather stopped us from being able to go to the park today. I can't control that. But what I can do is I can decide to do something inside. That's fun. The same thing that I might do at the park. Maybe I can't play baseball, but I can play with my computer games, or I can play with my video games, or I can have a family game night. Connection. I can't have ice cream because it's dinner time, but maybe after dinner, we can make a special snack. Or maybe we can do something that will allow us to be together to reconnect. I always say this. Number 5, you can always go back and reverse it. Always have that choice. It's actually in order, and I went out of order, but that's okay. Fix it. Let it go. Change your attitude. Make it worse. Stay miserable. Thank goodness 4 and 5 are completely reversible. You can always go back and fix it. You can always go back and change your attitude, and you can always go back and let it go. That's the cool part. We're in control. That's the best part. When parents realize that, they can change it over to their kids. I've had parents that have sat in my classes that say when they came into my class, they were stressed and frustrated and annoyed beyond belief. But just listening for just a few minutes to realize they had control of the situation, they were able to more effectively deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we hate to feel out of control. It just causes stress and anxiety and makes everything worse. So to stop and think, I have control over what I have control over, which is me and only me, right? So I think these are like, this is an excellent way to look at this, but how do we get, well, ourselves and our kids to remember this in the moment? And I know that goes back to the mindfulness thing, but when we get angry, this is the last thing we're thinking about. What's my list of 5 options? That's the last thing we're thinking about. How do we do this?
How do we do it in the moment? We stop and we think. That's the key. No matter how many different acronyms I give you, it always comes back to the same thing. Stop. Before you throw that punch, stop. I need you to take 5. Before you throw that toy, what's going to happen next? Stop. Take 5. The other thing is to use breathing. And that's the big part of my classes is the breathing part, is that it's not necessarily meditation because it's not structured. It's just being able to breathe in your body and breathe out the stress using simple counts. Like we do an 8 count. We do an 8 count where they'll breathe in for 4, hold for 4, and then let out for 4. Simple. Simple, simple, simple. You can get as complicated as you want. We also do progressive relaxation, where you start at the top of your head and you visualize each part of your body relaxing itself. We do mindful vacations. We do a 5-breath vacation. Those are so much fun. Basically, you think about using your senses, your eyes, your ears, your nose, your mouth, and your touch, where you go to your favorite place in your mind. And while you're there, you do those 5 things. While you're there, you process out what's stressing you out. The rule is you got to leave you got to leave the troubles there. Can't bring them back. That's the rule. Because most of the time when you set the troubles aside, when you go back for them, they're not there anymore. It's all about distraction. It's all about getting your brain to start kicking on that thinking part. Is it easy? No, it's not. It is absolutely not easy. It is one of the hardest things in the world to learn to regulate yourself. It's even worse to learn someone else, to teach someone else. That's the key. But the cool thing is that once we learn how and we teach someone else, they spread it and they spread it and they spread it. So it's a collection of calm. My teenagers are the funniest when we do these mindful practices. I give them 5-minute practices every time we meet for class. I'll put a song on, I'll put on a video or whatever. And I did
If you are looking for more ways to build communication skills in your kids, grab our free mini lesson on how to craft a polished and professional speech out of thin air, along with 52 fun prompts so your kids can practice every single week. You can find that along with info about our upcoming public speaking and debate courses for kids at greencommunicationsedu.com.